What's up, bro?
What's going on, brother? Happy day.
Happy day, man. Another episode of Fights with Friends.
Another episode of Fights with Friends, but today is a special day because today is May the 4th, man.
Yeah. May the 4th be with you.
May the 4th be with you. Even though we are both Sith fans, dude. And it is, I will have to say, for us, it is Revenge of the 6th all the way.
Vader
we do not
Palpatine.
appropriate Cinco de Mayo. We take Revenge of the 6th.
Yeah, I know everybody listening to this, it's like July, but, you know.
We've got to give a shout out to our favorite day.
We're going back in time to May 4th when we recorded this.
Yes. Exactly.
But I don't even consider May 4th Star Wars Day.
It's not. May 4th is because, like, may the force be with you, May the 4th. So I look at it that way.
Yeah, but
not as in the day that George Lucas released Special Ed Star Wars. Special edition. Okay? This is
PC
not
warning.
a
PC
thing.
warning.
Like, he just decided that, like,
Special
hey,
ed.
there's this new thing called DVD. I'm going to release a version of my movies that no one has ever seen before and make it so that the theatrical versions that everyone has seen before
That
are
came out-
unavailable.
That premiered on May 25th,
Yes.
the real Star Wars Day.
Yes, they did.
Yes.
Again, as a Star Wars holiday, yes. As the release of anything, no.
Yeah. I'm always down to celebrate Star Wars even in July.
This
It's
was
like
this
Christmas
was the
in
day
July.
the
We do Star
theatri-
Wars in July.
This was the
right?
day that Han shooting first died.
Yeah. This is the day that Han was. I was going to make some kind of resurrection thing, but because we did just whatever, man. I don't know. But we got Jay Adams on the show today, dude.
We are going to have a great episode, and it's going to be a great follow-up episode to our last episode with Doc.
Yes.
And we're going to continue into the Ray Donovan world that I feel
Yeah.
like probably a few more times in the show we're going to go down.
We'll probably come across some more Ray Donovan for sure.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, what's going on in your life, dude?
My life, man, I'll tell you what, the most important thing that's going on in my life, and you're going to love this. We finally put together the bike that you bought Matilda.
Oh, yeah.
So we are going to be taking Matilda
Nice.
outside to ride the bike that you bought her. So that's what's going on.
I didn't really buy her a bike.
You kind of bought her a bike.
I bought her a thing on wheels.
Yeah, well, it's a bike.
Whatever.
Right now, it's a bike. When she gets older, it'll be a thing on wheels.
Whatever. That's cool. Did she dig it?
Oh my God, she loved it. I sent you the picture this morning.
Yeah.
Of her, like standing next to it. She loves it.
Awesome.
Now she likes to put her little baby in it, and she pushes her baby around.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Very cool, man. Cool.
And what about you? What do you got going on?
What do I got going on?
I mean, you can't say much, but you're taking a trip.
Well, I actually can say, because probably by the time this comes out, it'll all be over. Right. So, but I
Fucking
did
say it.
audition. That audition I mentioned in the past couple
Yes.
episodes was for Dead City, The Walking Dead. So
That's right. So even if it doesn't come back, there's maybe a glimmer of hope, guys, that when they don't get back to you within a
Yeah,
few days,
yeah.
that they're going to be like, we want you.
Yeah. So I'm leaving on Monday to spend 7 days in Boston working on Dead City. So
That's
That'll-
awesome,
that'll
man.
be
I
fun.
can't wait.
That'll be fun. And working with James Armstrong, who is like from the legendary Armstrong stunt coordinating family.
Yes.
Vic Armstrong, Andy Armstrong. I mean, it's just like,
Was one of them the one that wrote the
well,
The
they both
stunt-
wrote a book, right?
the stunt for kids, the raising your stunt?
Vic Armstrong wrote an autobiography called, I think it's called The Greatest Stuntman in the World or something. No ego, but it is a good book. But and then
it is Vic.
That was Vic, yeah. And then I've never met Vic, and I've never met Vic or Andy or James, ironically. But Andy Armstrong wrote an amazing book that I recommend to everybody called The Action Filmmaker's Handbook,
Yes.
which is phenomenal.
You got for me for my birthday.
Yes, it is an amazing book. I revisit that book time and time again when I have questions about things. Like, it's one of those books that I have scribbles and highlights and notes and Post-its and stuff stuck into. So huge thank you to Andy Armstrong for that gift to the community. And I don't even know. I think he self-published it, so I don't know if it's still available or not or what, but people need to get a copy of that book. It's freaking great.
It is a great book.
And James Armstrong, who I've never met in person, but we've communicated a bunch online because he's also a jiu-jitsu guy and a grappler and stuff. So we've had that kind of grappler connection.
Nice. And now
Yeah.
you're gonna go see him on Monday.
Yeah, man. I'm excited.
That's
It'll be
awesome.
good. Yo, and the other thing that we're both working on is, and hopefully this project will be done by the time this episode airs. If it's not, like, fucking shoot us.
Yeah,
right?
then there's seriously something wrong, or fuck the weather.
Yeah.
because that's usually the problem.
We were supposed to shoot this tomorrow.
Yes.
But it's supposed to rain tomorrow.
But we are doing a shot-for-shot remake of the Hector versus Troy fight between Eric Bana and Brad Pitt. And also the now huge famous director that is making a movie I don't know if you fucking know of called Fall Guy.
Oh, yeah.
David Leitich was his double in that.
Leitich?
Did I say Leitich? Sorry.
I
fucking redo that.
Oh my god. No, we ain't redoing shit, dude. That's staying in the intro.
No.
Yes, it is. David Leitch. Leitch. But David Leitch was Brad Pitt's double in that fight, man. This is what happens when you do beer and podcasting together, right?
Because in my head, I'm visualizing the name and I saw the T.
Yeah, totally. I get it.
Oh, that's way too funny.
Sorry, David. We are gonna knock on your door to be on the show someday, David, if you're not super busy. But
I promise you, I'll get your name. I won't envision your name before I say it.
Yeah. We are gonna attempt a shot-for-shot remake of that. We've got the most amazing location.
We do. We found it. I found of all the places I went and searched, I found a place that was 2 minutes away from my house. It was right around the corner. And yeah, it's a huge reservoir. We've got a dam. We've got the big stone wall that looked like the castle of Troy, or the wall for Troy. It's going to be awesome.
And that, for the people listening, at least the way we approach doing a shot-for-shot remake is we drop the scene into an editor, chop it up, splice it. Every time they do a cut in the final cut, every time there's a cut, we cut the file.
Yep.
And we cut the tape as if it were. There's 128 cuts in this.
What is it? 3.5 minutes?
Yeah, I think it's 3.5 minutes if you count all the,
And we're doing this with our good buddy Jared Kirby.
Yes, Jared Kirby, who, if you're in New York and you need to learn sword, you go to Jared Kirby.
Well, he's the reason I specifically asked Jared to do this, because I don't know any of this fighting style with the swords, with the spears, with the shields.
Yeah.
And this is Jared's wheelhouse. So I was like, if I want to do this fight, which is something I've wanted to do for years now, we've been talking about.
Yeah, you've been bugging me forever.
I was like, I need to bring in someone that's going to make sure that this is done properly. So Jared was specifically the guy that I was like,
yep.
And then when he's like, oh yeah, and he's like, I know the guy that designed the fight, and I was like, this is awesome.
You guys have been rehearsing this fight literally weekly for like 6 months.
We pretty much rehearse about an hour or two every week. At first, we had the fight broken down into about 8 parts, and then to 6 to 4 to 2 to finally we were able to do the whole fight and one. And now, just so that when we decided to shoot it, that we could give you any scene, any part, anything you wanted. You're like, hey, I need this. We're like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
We're
so now
able to plug and play.
All the pressure's on me. And like I said, I mean, we've got the storyboards, we've got everything set. You guys are going to kill it. Now we just need to make sure we do it on film.
Right.
Yeah, man.
And I think the location's going to be perfect. That location's going to sell it. And then also we have a very, very special
we don't want to say
comedic entry.
Yeah.
And you guys will see when it
we
comes
don't
out.
want to say. We don't want to say. But
we're not going to ruin it.
No. But check the show notes, because if we actually finish this shit, the link will be in the show notes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But otherwise, let's get on to our amazing episode we have coming up.
Well, hold your horses.
What are we doing? What we got going on?
We wouldn't be making an episode if we didn't have people supporting us.
We have supporters. They are so important. How could I forget them?
I don't know. We'll ask David Leitich. We'll ask David Leitich the importance of sponsors.
Oh boy,
I'm spinning all over myself here.
Who will never be a sponsor now?
Yeah, seriously. No, but dude, okay, let's dial it in, because we need to thank some fucking people.
All right, so first let's go right off the bat, and I don't want to pick favorites, but I'm going to, because I love shooting things. So let's just go with Tactical Black.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Tactical Black right off the bat. I mean, these guys are absolute professionals. If you are on screen and you are looking to learn how to shoot, learn how to clear a room, learn how to look professional, safely handle a weapon, Tactical Black is your place to go.
Yeah. And they're based in LA, and they'll take you out on the range, so you could actually learn to actually shoot or to Hollywood shoot, but how to be safe in all scenarios. And they also we've rented to them here, and I know they also teach in the UK. So they're out there. So if you want to bring in some great firearms instructors, these are the folks to talk to, right?
Yeah.
And if you are trying to look for a job where you can actually use those skills, you would go to Stunt Contact.
Stunt Contact.
Yeah.
That is definitely the place to go. Or also, as we were just mentioning before, where you can take notes and make sure you don't submit to the same people 2, 3, maybe even 4 times.
Yeah, their website, their interface is really awesome,
Yeah.
dude. Like, and for every production that's listed, and they go through everything, things that are in development, things that are in pre-production and production, whether they have a stunt coordinator or not. A lot of the information about the production is in there. The producers, the line producers, the UPMs, everybody's in there. But what I love about their website is the ability to take notes on each page. I submitted here, so you don't get that. Did I submit to these dudes
That's
already?
exactly what I was talking about.
So it's really, they're great. They're great. And if you want to go to Tactical Black, but you don't live in LA and you need to drive there, you like that segue? We're gonna go to Metro Camera Cars. They're not a cab company, but they are the most amazing folks that run an amazing camera car operation.
Yeah, our buddy Joe Baris.
Yep, Joe is awesome.
If for any chance you can't drive to any of these locations, you're gonna have to fly. And who better to fly you to a location than Fight or Flight Entertainment?
Fight or Flight. Yes, Fight or Flight. That's Brett Cope's Entertainment Rigging. This guy also does amazing workshops around the country. You definitely need to try and catch one. And you follow his social media. He's always announcing where he's got another workshop coming on. You get a really good primer on entertainment rigging. Even if you're a performer and you're not a rigger, but you want to learn the basics of just how to be your own safety person, super important.
And he was a lead rigger for Cirque du Soleil, so
for quite a while, yeah,
for a long time.
And the dude knows his shit, man.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. But we don't make this show only based on their support. Although we are so thankful for our sponsors, we also have our Patreon subscribers.
We do, and those are the people that are on the ground that are here with us. And
honestly, running the podcast is a marathon,
yeah,
right? And so the sponsors gave us that initial injection of capital to help get us started, but it's really the Patreon
that are there cheering us on.
It's going to keep us going on the marathon.
Yeah, we
really, really want you guys to support us if you like this show. So please visit our Patreon. There's lots of levels. You can donate as little or as much as you want.
And look, even if you can't, make sure you at least give us a like, a follow, and a subscribe.
Yes, everywhere.
Everywhere you can. It helps everything about what we're trying to do with the show.
Yeah,
and those are really important.
Pretty much across all social media platforms, it's Fights with Friends Pod. YouTube, Instagram, really easy to comment with us, and we can actually get back to you. So I would say if you're on the YouTube, make comments. If you're on the Instagram, make comments. You can, if you're on our Patreon, you can definitely message us and make comments, and we have private chats for the subscribers on the Patreon too. So, yeah, I think that's it.
That's awesome, man. Let's get into it. Let's. I was already there 5 minutes ago, but then you started fucking babbling. So let's get into this interview, bro.
Let's get into the mix
about our sponsors
with J.R. Adams.
Jay, man, we'll see you in a minute, brother.
Yeah. All right, so, dude, we got J.R. Adams on the show. Thank you for coming, Jay. Raise a glass.
Hello, boys.
Jay,
hello, fellas. Good to see you guys. It's nice to see you. I haven't had a chance to see you guys since pre-COVID, I believe.
Yeah, last time I saw you was at my birthday thing.
Yeah, that's right. I think I was in town doing a show, and your birthday was going on. So I had to come and hang out with all you guys. That was fun.
That was awesome.
It hasn't been before COVID. It's been that long.
Yeah, because I haven't been back to New York since COVID. So I've been to Philly, but not New York.
Yeah, you've been to Philly. What were you working on over there?
This new show, it's going to be on Apple TV called Sinking Spring. That's
cool.
I'm excited.
Can you
yeah.
tell us, give us any info on what it's about?
Yeah, from what the synopsis on IMDb, so that I'm not saying anything out of order.
Okay.
It's two guys that pose as DEA agents to rob drug dealers, and then they rob the wrong drug dealers, and now all the drug dealers are going after them.
Nice.
Based off of a novel. Yeah, it's based off of a novel there that was a guy that from the Philly area actually wrote, and so we did one season of it, and
nice.
It's pretty fun. It's I'm excited to see it.
Sweet. Sweet.
It'd also be nice to just see the story played out in a series and not a movie. It sounds,
and that's what's cool about that's what's so cool about all these new platforms is a lot of people are taking those stories and that instead of condensing them down into a movie, we're getting 6-episode series, 8-episode series, and it's a lot easier to tell some good stories. So I'm digging it personally.
It's pretty cool.
It's something Zack Snyder should do with a lot of his movies.
Cut out the slow motion.
He should just make a series.
Well, yeah, I mean they're all 4 hours anyway, so you might as well just do 4 episodes.
Exactly.
Yeah. They could be 3.5 hours if you cut out the slow mo, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
But so we're here to talk about an older platform, right? Showtime, and we're talking about your fight on Ray Donovan. At least we're going to start
All right.
with it. So let me read you something, and then you can just give us your base level reaction, and then we'll take it from there. And again, for all the people watching and listening, the link to the fight will be in the show notes. So definitely, if you haven't watched it yet, hit pause, go watch the fight, and then come back. All right, so here we go. Interior warehouse night. The Dream On intro continues. Smoke hangs over all. The fans are rabid. In between the crowd stands Bunchy, shirtless, bruised from his previous fight. Across the room is Billy Gator, his face all scar tissue, his body like a Sherman tank. Mickey and Terry watch from behind Bunchy as the ref motions to the fighters. Touch hands. Bunchy and Billy step closer. They touch hands. Billy says, "Gonna scramble your brains, man." Bunchy says nothing. The bell rings. Here comes Billy with a thundering right cross. Hits Bunchy in the nose. Blood splatters to the concrete floor like the first stroke of a Jackson Pollock. There you go. What are you thinking, man?
Well, when I first read it, I was super stoked because of the whole setup behind it, where when you read beforehand, the Dream On music coming on, and like as soon as I read this, it kind of came into my head. I was playing it out. I'm like, the way that this scene plays out, if it plays out the way it does on the script, it's going to be really cool because it's just very dramatic. It was interlacing not only the fight but other scenes that they're tying together. This particular episode was kind of like right at the climax of the season, and it was all downhill from here. So it was 3 different stories kind of intermingling at the very end of the episode, and it was very artistic to me, which is part of the stuff that I love. I love not only the fights, but I love physical storytelling, and that's exactly what this was to me. And I had a blast. It was awesome for me.
It was a pretty epic moment for a lot of reasons. And the last episode, for those of you listening, if you haven't listened, it's the last episode we had Doc Duhame on, who was the stunt coordinator for this fight. So this is sort of a Ray Donovan Part 2 episode.
It is.
I like
so
it.
We get to go in, and we went pretty in depth into those other fights. And it's nice to see what happens when the torch is passed, so to speak.
So this is the first fight that Terry Donovan, he's out of commission. And Bunchy steps in to take his place, and he has to face you, bro. That's scary seeing you across
first
the way.
He fights the other guy. First he fights Hank Strong, that huge guy. He's been in a couple. Yeah, exactly. But he's been in a couple things there, and he's a New York local guy that. So he fought him first. And did that whole scene.
They choose all small guys from.
Yeah, exactly. It was fantastic. So then after beating him, then he has to fight me, and the grizzled street fighter.
Yo, it was so cool, man. I was bummed I couldn't be on that episode with you but it was still awesome, dude.
Yeah, it was cool,
awesome.
man. It was a good day. We shot it all in one day. It was at some warehouse right off the water. It was cool. There was a few of the locals. Chris Beezup was there, and he was on it, and as well as Stephanie Field, Trinity, she was on there. So it was cool to be able to hang out with some old friends during the day while I was also getting to have a fun fight. So it was fun.
And that warehouse down in Red Hook
that's a great warehouse. They shoot everything.
Yeah.
That it was awesome. So visually, it worked perfect for the scene, and it just looks so cool. Yeah.
Gets hot as balls in there in the summer though.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Try doing a fight scene for 4 hours with a bunch of makeup and prosthetic makeup and stuff like that. Yeah. It got sticky for sure.
Brick one on Coffee Street?
Yeah, that's the Coffee Street Studios
that place
over
is
there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Anybody who's ever worked in New York will find themselves in there at some point. I mean, I've been in there for Ray. I've been in there for Blacklist.
I was in there for Iron Fist.
Iron Fist, yeah.
Yeah.
Take us through the process. You get the script. Obviously, at some point, you got contacted by Doc before you got the script.
Yeah, well, I was in an episode, a couple episodes before that, just kind of in the background of the boxing gym, just working a heavy bag and things like that. And got along real good with Doc, and he wanted to bring me back. So he wanted to bring me back for one of the fights, and it worked out perfect. So, he brought me back for the fight, and we had a few rehearsals. We came in a few times for rehearsal with Anthony Vincent, actually. It's coordinating the fight with me, with us and Doc. And so we got to work with him. Yeah, that was really cool. Got to work with him.
For the people listening, Tony Vincent is another longtime performer, stunt coordinator here in the New York area.
Legend.
Come from a legacy of people in the business. His father,
yeah,
by the same name, and
great guy to work with. So he came in with us and put the fight together, and came in for rehearsals because we had to rehearse with Dash. Because Dash actually ended up doing the whole thing himself. He didn't use a double at all. He did the whole thing. So came in a couple of times with him and a couple times without him, and put it all together. And had a blast. And it was a lot of fun working with Tony. I never got to work with him or Doc before, so it was really cool to work with both guys.
Yeah, they're both awesome. Tony is the first coordinator who ever referred me for a job. So
nice.
Way back, like before I was even SAG, and he referred me to who was it? Was it Norman Douglas? I think was coordinating the Americans, and they needed a Russian martial arts stylist guy, and I had never met Tony, and then but I heard that he had referred me because I was like the Russian martial arts guy, and so I will.
You're Sambo Steve, of course. They were calling you.
That's it. Well, I mean, but Tony's a very accomplished martial artist himself, like jiu-jitsu guy. I think he's like a 3rd degree black belt in BJJ or something like that.
Well, I mean, Steve. Let's be real. Steve loves to like downplay his whole scene, but. I mean, I was at a workshop with JJ Perry, and he mentioned you out of nowhere. We were talking about different schools and stuff. He's like, "Yeah, Sambo Steve's got a place in New York." I was like, "I know Sambo Steve." So, you get mentioned. I mean, all the people know you, man. Let's not play it off.
Well, but Tony, but I'm not a coordinator, and Tony was just super generous to like refer me because I wasn't really known in the business yet.
Yeah,
Tony's a great guy. I worked for Tony once, and I covered for him. On the Good Fight, and he put a lot of faith in me, and I have nothing but respect for him and appreciation for him. And
that's how all of us. That's how all of us have gotten somewhere. Yeah. It's the right person is taking a chance on us and believed in us, and that's where all of us are where we are.
Right.
And there's a great video out there somewhere. I don't know if you can find it of Jared Burke and Tony doing a martial arts demo, throwing the crap out of each other. That's really freaking really good.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's
That'd be cool to see. That'd be cool.
But back to you. So I didn't know Tony was helping coordinate that. So that's pretty awesome. So you guys go through rehearsals, which is rare in television, right? So it was cool that you even had to have that you had the time to do that. And then on the day, like you said, Bunch was Bunch. We didn't need the double. And how did that work out for you?
Just quick, before he goes in, when you guys did the rehearsals, was it just you guys? Did Bunch walk into the rehearsals at all? Did he stick his head in, or?
So the first couple of rehearsals we did, because we also brought the Hank Strong in, because he's an actor but hasn't done a lot of fights, so we had to put together a fight for him too. So we came in a couple of times, just us and Tony and Doc, and put some stuff together. And then the last couple Dash wanted to be involved so he could put his spin on and everything, and get it down. I think 4 rehearsals altogether, like you said, which is unheard of with TV, but 2 with the actor, 2 without.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
That is pretty awesome.
I mean, it's so important though, right? Because you guys come up with some choreo, and then Dash probably contributes like the character, the story aspect to it. Like, this is what I think Bunch would do or not do, or something like that.
And that's exactly what he did. You know, he while we were shooting, he made sure he told me, he's like, okay, this scene right here is the climax of my whole season. You know, I've been doing good, and we think that I'm finally over that hump where I'm going to finally do well, and I'm going to win this contest and make this money, and our lives are going to be changed. And then all of a sudden you come in and you drag me right back down and knock me into the dirt. He's like, so this is like the whole climax of my season right here. I was like, wow, no pressure at all. But this is awesome. This is great. So yeah, he put in his own parts of the fight that he wanted to make sure that he to emphasize that even more, which is cool. What we did, the scene where it's just a close up on him, and I'm just punching and he's just reacting to the punches. That he just got to work the camera and like work that entire, you know, through his face, which, you know, that's why he's such a great actor. Through his entire face, you can see that arc of his whole season. Like he's there, he's smiling, he's like, I'm just taking it. This is just how my life is, and I'm just taking it. I thought this was going to be something, but I'm just taking it. So just do it. Just hit me, boom, and he just keeps coming back for more, and almost smiling and wanting me to finish him off. You know. So, and that was all his storytelling. You know, him getting involved, him being able to put his touches on the fight, which made it, you know, even that much better.
I feel like he's sort of I think he's underrated, like his performance in that show. Like, you know what I mean?
He's a great actor and everything.
He's amazing.
He's been in.
Yeah.
I mean, you forget some of the things that he's been in. You know, I watched some of the stuff, you know, something I grew up on. Yeah, Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, I grew up, something we grew up on.
White Boys.
White Boys. I was just watching that the other day. I was like, oh, I totally forgot. You know, this is a movie that I grew up on. But he's been in so much stuff. He's got a great range. I've always been a fan of his.
Yeah, totally, man.
And he was in Gotham, right? Wasn't he in Gotham for a bit?
I don't know.
I thought he was the abusive boyfriend, and he was a cop, right?
Oh, maybe he was.
I think he did do a couple episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Paul, by the way, for those watching, we all do have the Star Wars garb on. That is because we're recording this on May 4th. May the 4th be with you.
Oh, yes.
And,
that's right. I didn't even think about it not being live, but oh well. May 4th anyway.
Right? It is May the 4th.
So we get to revisit the Star Wars Day in a few months when this episode drops.
Right.
Works out perfect.
Yeah, totally. So let's dial it back a little bit. We know that you have a long history in what brought you to stunts, but tell us a little bit about you. You're from originally the Metro Detroit area, or did you move there, or that's where you're from?
No, I was born and raised here in the Detroit area. Son of a Chrysler worker, you know, nephew to a Ford worker. You know, we're big three people around here in Detroit, obviously. But yeah, I grew up here in Detroit. Was always into entertainment, wanted to become an entertainer of some sort growing up, but being in Detroit, you don't really see that as a possibility. That's something in Hollywood, you know, that's something in New York. I'm like, when am I ever going to get there? You know, as a kid, growing up, even, you know, Detroit's a big area. It's not like I'm in the middle of Nebraska somewhere and dreaming of going to the big city, but you know, you just don't see that as a possibility. But later on in life, I ended up becoming a professional wrestler, and I did that for years. And I enjoyed the hell out of that. I got to travel around the Midwest. I got to wrestle for WWE whenever they would come to like Michigan, Ohio area. I would do things with them. So had a blast doing that.
You were Eddie Venom, right?
Yeah. I wrestled as Eddie Venom. I would mostly a bad guy. And just like most wrestlers, I was a comic book geek. So Venom was Eddie Brock. So I use the name just like a lot of guys do.
Cool.
You know, yeah, steal their wrestling names from comic books. A lot of guys do that.
But let's put a pause button before we go. Like, how do you go from from I want to do this to getting like, how'd you get into the wrestling business?
Well, so like I said, I was always kind of into entertainment. I've been in bands and things like that. And then there was a local Detroit radio show. There was a talk show that kind of not shock jocks, but they would do like stunts and stuff like that on the air. And I was one of their characters. I was called Jay the Cable Guy. And I would do all sorts of things for them. They pepper sprayed me one day. When I met a wrestler through there, and I would always loved wrestling, always wanted to be a wrestler. And he invited me out to a show there in local Detroit. He said, yeah, come out and check it out. And I fell in love with it. Even the local shows, even more than the big stuff on WWE, because the local shows, you're right there, right, seeing everything. You're 10 feet away and you're right there in the action. Just fell in love with it. Went right home. I went online, found a school, and started, I think the next week, started training and just went to it from there. Yeah, I found a wrestling school here in Michigan. There's a few here, throughout the state and throughout the country, and was able to get trained and trained for about 6 months before I had my first match, and went from there. I wrestled for about 12, 13 years, I think.
It's kind of like I feel the same with MMA. Like, I definitely dig the amateur local shows more. Like, I feel like I know the fighters, I know their stories, they're hungry.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Way more than the big time shows.
And you end up becoming like more of a part of the show than just watching the show.
Yeah.
That, which is, that was always my thing. That was why I was a decently popular wrestler, because you learn later in your career, it's less about the moves and more about the interaction with the fans. So my interaction with the fans was first and foremost, as opposed to the moves of the so that's why I was, halfway successful. So, and it's just something that helped me transition into the film industry, being comfortable on camera and being comfortable with fighting and things like that, being comfortable in front of a crowd. That's all, that all helped me, lead into that.
And choreography and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Just memorize.
Yeah, exactly. Just keeping those moves memorized in your head. I mean, wrestling, we like to say, it's not fake, and it's not fake. It is predetermined, but it's a lot of choreo. It's a lot of memory.
And acting. I mean,
exactly. I mean, we have to, a lot of times too, people can't see everything that's going on, but they focus on your face. So you have to convey all of these emotions, and whether it's anger, whether it's hatred, whether it's fear, whether you're doing this all through your facial features and trying to connect with those crowds. And that's how I learned to really emote and things like that, by being in front of those live crowds.
So people should stop going to UCB and go to wrestling school instead.
I'll tell you what,
learn how to work a crowd.
You will learn a lot. Not only how to move, how to control your body too. That's one of the things that I learned with wrestling, how to control your body for how to fall correctly, things like that. But just knowing how you can move your body, control it to make sure that you avoid injury. It's an amazing thing. I wouldn't be where I am without it, to be honest.
It's one of the most common things that you hear of in wrestling is just injuries. Like when a wrestler tells his story, I feel like there hasn't been any wrestler without injury and those who did it their whole life and all, like, just a life of pain.
Yeah.
So when you were saying the outcome is predetermined, but it's not fake.
No, you take a beating.
You guys take a fucking beating.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
You don't fake have a chair slammed on you.
Yeah. People like to say, "Oh, is that a fake chair? It must be fake." I was like, I wish it was, because it's not.
Even if it was fake, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
it has to be heavy enough to swing through the air and not bend.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's going to hurt when it hits you.
Plus, too, no matter what, I'm 6'7", almost 6'7". When I pick you up over my head and slam you down, it doesn't matter how much padding there is or anything. It's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
You're gonna feel it. If you don't fall correctly. So.
Yeah. So, what was the transition to stunts? You've been doing stunts about 10 years or so, or
yeah. Surprisingly enough, an injury. To be honest, I actually broke my back in the ring when I was wrestling.
Oh shit!
I had a match where I had a guy on my shoulders and his back laid across my shoulders, and I'm gonna sit down on my butt. He's supposed to slide off my shoulders, but his legs got wrapped around my arm, so most of his weight stayed on my shoulders. And when I dropped down, it compressed my spine. Yeah, so I broke one vertebrae and I crushed another one. And at that point,
that's in the middle of a match.
Yeah, well, right towards the end of the match. Yeah, so right when it happened, I felt like I might have broken some ribs in the back because a few months earlier I had an injury like that, where a back injury, but it was a broken rib. So I figured, they're not going to be able to do anything. I'll wait a couple of days, see how I feel, and if I still feel bad, I'll go to the doctor. Well, so by the next day I was in so much pain. I was like, all right, I'll go to the doctor. They did an MRI. Turns out, I broke one of the vertebrae. She said another one actually crushed, so I lost 10% height on it when it crushed.
Oh, wow.
Like,
yeah.
Oh.
But so, that was, and you finished the match with that. That's the thing.
I did actually. So
you broke your back so bad you
take
got
that
shorter?
Tom Cruise broken ankle.
We took it happens, and I'm like, I think I'm hurt. And the guy that I'm wrestling with, we're doing a tag match, and just me and him in the ring at the time. He's like, I go, oh man, I think I hurt myself. He goes, well, we only got a couple minutes left. Just finish up. I'm like, oh. All right, here we go. So then we finish up, and it's a tag match, and me and my tag partner, we're the good guys. So we do it's at a high school, so we do the classic, like where we both get in at the same time, get them at each corner, go up on the second rope, and count to 10 as you're punching them in the head, Mm-hmm. So we're doing that, and I'm just going, oh
no.
So we end up doing our finishing move. I somehow do my finishing move, pick him up, put him down. We do the 1, 2, 3, and then we're out. And my partner then, he's like, let's go celebrate in the crowd. I'm like, oh, jeez. So we go climbing through the bleachers, celebrating with the kids in the crowd. And we finally get to the outside. We get right through the curtain. And actually, my wife is sitting right next to the curtain, right where we're about to go through it. I look at her. I said, I'm hurt. And I go through the curtain, and I just collapse, and I fall over.
Oh, my God.
I was like, yeah, that was painful. That was rough.
So then you decided to go to like an easy job like stunts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, I knew this. I loved wrestling growing up, and I loved my time in it, but my time had finished. I was getting a little bit older, and I wasn't at the point where I was trying to get into WWE anymore. I didn't want that full-time contract to be on the road 320 days a year. So I made a conscious decision. I was going to slowly start to ease my way out of wrestling. And it just so happened at the same time here in Michigan, we had a very good tax credit for filming. So a lot of stuff was filming here at the time. And actually all credit to one of my best friends. He was a pro wrestler, Zach Gowen. He was the world's only one-legged wrestler. And,
wow.
Yeah, he lost his leg to cancer as a child when he was 8. And he grew up, and at 19, he became a professional wrestler and got signed to the WWE and wrestled Vince McMahon on pay-per-view, wrestled Brock Lesnar, wrestled all these guys.
Didn't one of the Von Erichs have one foot?
Yeah, Kerry from
Von Erich, right?
They cut his foot down. Yeah, and he wrestled, with the prosthetic for a long time. Yeah, exactly. But Zach would actually take his prosthetic off. It was off all the way to his hip.
And he wrestled with one leg.
With one leg, and he would do moonsaults and things like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So he got hired here in Michigan to do a movie that was filming here. To do a stunt, they were going to, it was an old war movie. They were going to shoot a cannon and have a cannon blow off his leg. And I was just amazed that he got hired by a stunt coordinator to be on a movie. And I'm like, this is something I've always wanted to do. So he was gracious enough. He introduced me to stunt coordinator Dan Lemieux, and I was able to meet him. And he introduced me to guys like Carl Maspoli and Ely Barda, and was able to, and Patrick Potocik, and guys here in Michigan at the time that I was able to train with, and finally transition from wrestling over to the stunt industry.
That's cool, man. But you, like you mentioned, the contracts are rough. I mean, I remember I was a child life specialist and art therapist before I retired to do this stuff. And I was working in peds oncology, and we had Triple H came by for a Make-A-Wish for one of the kids. And I got to spend some time talking with him, and he was telling me, the amount of time he's like, I said, "Oh, it's great that you came out here to he was, first of all, he came for one kid who got the Make-A-Wish, right? He was finished with hanging out with that kid, and then he goes, any other kids that you want me to see? Like, he could have just left,
Yeah.
And then he goes to see this other kid who is the hugest wrestling fan. And in fact, they had made his bed into like 4-poster. They put ropes around his
Oh,
bed and everything.
nice.
And then he had his own wrestling name and all that kind of stuff.
That's
And
awesome.
it was great. And like Triple H goes into his room, slings the door open. He's like there to challenge him because the ring was there. It was so good,
Oh,
man.
that's so great. Yeah,
So
I've always heard great things about Triple H as far as the Make-A-Wish Foundations and visiting and doing charity work like that.
He literally, and then after he spent time with that kid, he goes, "Is there anybody else?" And we're like, "Oh, we have this one other kid," because our hospital was in Brooklyn, and he didn't come with an entourage or anything. It just is like he had a personal assistant there. And then we were like, "Oh, there's this one kid that would love to meet you. He's like the hugest wrestling fan, but he's all the way uptown in uptown Manhattan at Columbia Presbyterian getting tests done. So he's there for a couple days." And he goes, "Give me the address. I'll go." And he literally went.
Oh, awesome.
And then we called the hospital, like, don't, and the kid's name is Tommy. We're like, "Don't let Tommy know, but just keep him around. Triple H is coming over."
Oh,
and
that's
like
so
literally,
cool.
That's amazing.
like 3 hours later or something, like the phone rings and it's Tommy. He's like, "You're never gonna guess who came to visit me today." And I'm like, "Oh, is it who came?" He goes, "It's Triple H." And I said, "Oh, how long did he stay?" And this is like 3 hours later, and he goes, "Hold on." And then you hear, "Hey, Triple H, what time did you get here?" Like that. It's like,
oh, wow, you're still
he was
there,
still
too.
there, dude.
Wow,
But
that's
he
so
told me
cool.
that was his one day off a week.
Yeah.
That's what he spent. And the other 6 days, he's like, "I'm on the road like every day, doing stuff every day. And if I'm not, I'm
Especially
in
the top guys. Yeah, they're, I mean, like I said, 300 to 320 days a year, you're on the road. That's rough.
Yeah. But you do, okay, so you do work for charity too. Tell us about the charity, but I want to know, like, because I know you do a charity hockey game every year.
Yeah. So I played hockey my whole life. So
I was going to ask you, like,
that.
about the hockey.
Yeah, I played hockey my whole life growing up here in Detroit. It's we're called Hockey Town for a reason. For the Detroit Red Wings, Detroit Red Wings are a huge part of the Detroit culture here, and I grew up huge fan. And I ended up becoming.
I'm a Capitals fan, by the way.
I mean, nothing's. You guys got swept when
we got rocked.
We really should have been in that position in the playoffs, and you just went in just to get swept for no reason whatsoever. But I digress. It's been a rough month here for Red Wings fans, but yeah. So I've grown up playing and all my life, and through actually a lot of the wrestling, I actually met some of the Red Wings from back in the day, and one of them was Darren McCarty, who's played for the Red Wings for years. He's got 4 Stanley Cups, and me and him ended up becoming really good friends. And so I would do a lot of charity stuff with him, but I got involved with an organization called United Cerebral Palsy here in Michigan, UCP, and we do a charity game against the Red Wings. Have an alumni association of former players that will do charity games and things like that. So I would help organize this game.
Just to pause for the listeners, we're going to put a link to your donation page for the charity in the show notes.
Oh,
so
thanks.
Everybody should jump on there and give a couple bucks, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a great event. We do it every year. It's for Michigan UCP, and we get some guys together. We would play against the Red Wing alumni, and all the money would go to charity, and we'd raise, $40,000 every year. It's been going 22 years now. We've raised over $500,000 for UCP for this game, and it's just been a great event. So,
how much?
Over $500,000.
That's amazing.
What the fuck? That's awesome.
Yeah. It's been awesome.
Is it sort
of?
That's
amazing. Congrats.
Did you come to UCP because that's the charity that was involved with the hockey game, or do you have connection to cerebral palsy with anybody?
I actually don't know. It's actually the guys that originally like I said, the game's been going for 22 years straight now.
Oh,
the guy that originally put it together, I played drop-in hockey with, and me and him were really good friends. And I wanted to just volunteer and get involved and help out with him. And I started helping out. And then through some of my media relations and things like that, through Detroit news stations and stuff like that, I was able to get some advertisement for the games. And so I ended up, helping out more and more every year with the game, helping to put it on. And just through that, we would have the Red Wings, alumni there. And some of the guys, Darren would introduce me because I've known Darren for 20 years. And these guys would be interested in, you tell them, yeah, this guy's a pro wrestler and he's a stunt guy. As soon as they said stunt guy, all these Red Wing players were like, oh, I want to know all about that. So they were talking to me. They're interested in me. And I'm like, no, I grew up watching you guys. I don't care about what I do. So it was just such a cool thing. And then one of the guys, Joe Koepfer, is the president of the Red Wing Alumni Association. He played for the Rangers as well. But he asked me if I play hockey. I said, yeah. He's like, you want to come out to some of these games and play charity games? I'm like, as a Red Wing? Yeah, absolutely. So I come out. Usually Red Wings alumni is former NHL players or high-level hockey guy, college players and things like that. But so me and actually Dave Coulier were the two celebrity members. So we go out and because Dave Coulier is from here and he's back living here now. So me and him go out there when I only go out when they need extra guys. But yeah, we get out and we'll go out and we'll play charity games. I get to play with all these Red Wing players that I grew up watching. And so
awesome.
I get
that's pretty awesome.
All winter long we do hockey games.
I now can't stop picturing Dave Coulier just checking somebody into the fucking boards.
Oh, he's awesome. Dave's tough, man. Dave's tough on the ice. He's been playing since he was a kid too. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, he's great out there, and he's fun to play with. We have a blast. So, and yeah, I get to skate around with these guys that I grew up watching. Just legends. It's awesome for me, and I get to give back and give to charity as well. So it's just been a win-win for me. I just love it.
It is pretty crazy though, right? Like when you not that I've ever played. I did play hockey in junior high school. I played on a hockey team in junior high school. Yeah.
Which position?
Goalie.
I was gonna ask goalie.
Really?
You got a goalie vibe.
Well, I mean, I'm not a great skater. I mean, I'm all right, but
terrible on the ice.
But this was a roller hockey team.
It's the one athletic thing my wife gets to do with me, and she just laughs her ass off. Like I can go as far as the push off the wall will take me.
Really?
And then it's like no, and then I'm like a deer. Like learning how to walk for the first. I'm like Bambi learning how to walk for the first time.
You got some local actor there in New York that I worked with in Philly that he actually plays hockey. We bonded over that, so we're gonna try to intermingle some charity games together. That would be fun.
Oh, cool. But what I was gonna say is, like you said, that they get all excited. Oh, he's a stunt guy. He's a stunt guy, right? It's like it's kind of like you're the rock star when you walk in the room. It's like I laugh when everybody's these days, especially like within the stunt community, like nobody recognizes us, we get minimized, blah, blah. I'm like, you kidding me? When we walk on set, it's like everybody's excited, like stunts are on set, bro. Stunts are on set.
Hey, did you also know that there's this movie called The Fall Guy out?
I see. Yeah. I mean, they had me on the local news just to talk about The Fall Guy. So yeah, here in Detroit. So yeah, it's crazy how especially with how much we've all been, fighting for getting recognition and with the Academy Awards and things like that. Now all of a sudden, stunts are cool, man. Stunts are the best, man, and everybody's talking about it. It's like, yeah, we've been telling you that for a while now.
Yeah. But I mean, in the industry, everybody. I mean,
I feel like once we walk on set, like like Steve said, like even the actors are like, oh fuck, stunt guys are here. Like they kind of even want to get close and hang out and talk to us, and like. Because again, we do all the stuff that they really want to do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's
and in some cases that they can do, but they can't do for insurance reasons or whatever. So it's like
I was on this show. I was doubling a guy, and now all I was doing is riding a motorcycle for him. And he's like, "Well, I kind of know how to ride, and I wish they would let me." And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, insurance." So,
yeah.
But yeah, I was that. Yeah, I mean, the same thing. They want to do these things because we're having fun. We get to have the fun.
Yeah. An interesting story about insurance. And I was when Jackie Chan first came over here to film, when he would shoot, they could shoot everything in wide because he would do it all in one take. And then here, when they go to shoot it, they do everything in such small takes. That's why everything, if you watch the difference in his movies, everything is shot with inserts. And then it's like 1, 2, if he runs up a tree, he does 3 branches, then another 3 branches, then another 3 branches, then another 3 branches. But when he would film it in China, he'd go up the whole tree.
Yeah,
and
totally,
all because of insurance.
Just because they want less shots.
No,
mean,
just the entire reason of why they don't let him do it all and shoot it
right.
wide is because insurance. Because he goes up 3 and then they make sure he's safe. And then they get that safe, and then he goes up another 3 and they make sure. But in China, they're like, "Fuck it, just go."
Well,
it's a different
less
culture.
regulations over there.
Yeah,
just a bit. But I mean, I'm not,
and less insurance.
I'm not gonna, I'm not sure how you feel, Jay. We have never actually talked about it, but I'm like, okay, like I honestly don't care about the Oscars. I really don't care. I mean, it's like if we get recognition, awesome. But there's so many other things I would rather fight for than that. Like
I hear you. It's just a matter of it. To me, it's just a matter of like a respect thing, like because they're not even if they just have in the category, just having, because what my whole thing is, whenever you watch the Academy Awards, okay, the clips that they show, what are the clips that they always show of the movie? It's usually the stuff that we're doing. It's the action stuff. It's the stuff that people want to see. So it's funny how they kind of promote these movies as being this, but they don't, they don't recognize what made it that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they do, but when Tom Cruise does it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's like with the Fall Guy stuff. It's awesome. Like, listen, any press is good press, no matter what the reason for the publicity. Even though we all know that this is just to make more money, and then when this movie's done, they'll stop with the press junkets and talking about us and stuff like that. This is just to sell a movie. But like, I don't care. Give us the press, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, who cares?
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's fun to be able to see like guys that we know like showcase like that. It's like I don't know if I've been lucky enough to work with Justin Eaton, and he got to work on this with him. He's doing great, man. And it's cool seeing him get to do all this press stuff too, and to get recognized. Because that doesn't usually happen.
Or like with Fallout. Watching Fallout is like it's like a
again
drinking game. How many stunt people do we know?
I'm
it's
watching it again with my wife, and in that first scene when not the first scene, but when the Raiders come into Vault 33, and it's just like it's what I like to call the Zack Snyder shot, which is where they have the music playing and the slow motion and just everybody running around.
Oh yeah!
How many stunt people did we know? Like,
oh my gosh,
Anthony Mecca, Alec. Kossoff, like everybody. There were so many.
They're
people
all in there.
Scene.
They're all in there.
I got called like 3 times and it just didn't work out. I was booked on other stuff and I wasn't able to make it. But I was bummed. I would have liked to have been able to be out there.
I never got a call, but it's so funny. So many people are like, "Great job," and I just don't. I'm like, I'm not even gonna bother. I'm just like, I complimented the show because I wasn't in it.
Yeah.
To all of my friends, and they're like, you did a great job, and I'm just like, I just deleted the comment. I'm like, I'm not even going to go into it. I'm like, but no, I wasn't in it. I was like, all my stunt friends were in it. And it was freaking awesome, and I loved it.
Yeah,
you know who's awesome? Great. Who's awesome is Adam Shippey. He's inside the suit, the big. Oh my god, that's so cool.
I haven't watched the show yet.
Oh, you got to watch it.
Oh,
no,
I know. I've been telling the wife.
I am not going to reveal who the first Titan character is.
Sure.
It's such a great cameo. It's such a great cameo when he takes his helmet off. You're gonna.
Okay, I'm excited to see it. I've never even played the game, but I've heard of how good the show is, and it got me interested. So I definitely want to check it out.
You don't need to play the game if you watch the show.
That's what I hear. Yeah, because I was worried about that. So many of those video game shows, it's like if you haven't played the game, you're not really understanding what's going on. But this one is good, and then The Last of Us was great. You didn't have to play the game at all. It was great. That's what I like.
What about the Outsiders game? No, I'm just kidding. But you were in the Outsiders. Tell us a little bit about that. That was pretty awesome. You were doubling on that show.
Yeah, Outsiders is really cool. Outsiders was really like the thing that helped me like get projected like from I was first starting out, and it really helped me get my name out there and get me a lot of work. And it's all due to Ely Barda and Bobby King, who was coordinating.
Like Outsiders. Like, do you work with Ted Williams on Outsiders?
Yeah, Ted. Yeah, we've worked with him
Ted.
forever.
Ted's one of my good buddies. And
Ted's a good dude.
Ben Resendiz did the Outsiders.
And
right?
by the way, Ted, we love you, Ted, because you are a Patreon subscriber.
Yeah.
Shameless plug, but Ted's awesome, very supportive.
Ted's
he jumped on
dude.
the Patreon as soon as we launched it. He was on there.
Yeah.
Whenever I go to Pittsburgh, I always visit with Ted. We always get together and have dinner, and his daughter Ari, man, I always go see her. Yeah. I always see her when I go to Pittsburgh too. They're great. But yeah, that's where I met him.
She went to a con and got me one of my Ash Pops signed by Sam
Oh,
Raimi.
nice.
Yeah,
that's
she's
awesome.
So Jay, you said that The Outsiders was pretty much what helped launch your career in this business.
Yeah, so I started out, like I said, started out training here in Detroit with a guy named Patrick Potochik. He had a little dojo at his house, and I was able to work on some fighting on camera and stuff like that. And slowly we're getting small gigs here and there, mostly just helping him out or helping out somebody else. Nothing really big until finally Ely had called me and he said, asked me for my measurements and things like that. Actually, before I even saw that, there was on the Facebook post, we all have our Facebook message groups where we have stunt message groups where people are looking for somebody of a certain look and things like that. Just so happens on one of those pages, I saw a picture of Ryan Hurst. And Ryan Hurst, who, for people who don't know, he played Opie in Sons of Anarchy, but even before that, he was Gary Bertier and Remember the Titans way back in the day. Great guy, but for
Strong
years.
side.
Yeah, exactly. So when I started growing my hair out, and people used to tell me I looked like him. So I was like, wow, this is great. They're looking for a double for this guy.
I mean, the second we started talking about The Outsiders, I was like,
yeah. Well, even with my long hair, you should see it even more. But anyway, so I was like, oh, this is a guy. So I started to go to the comments. I was about to comment even before I could comment. I saw Ely had commented. He's like, Bobby, I got a guy for you. He must be talking about me. So Ely called me up and he introduced me to Bobby King, who was the coordinator on season 1, and asked me about my ATV riding because there was going to be a big gag early on with an ATV. And just
because that's something that people in Detroit do.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, the thing is with Michigan, we have such a rural area outside of Detroit because we have Detroit and then it's just basically wood and we have a hunting and everything through Michigan and on our lakes and everything. So we actually do ride. You grow up either on ATVs or dirt bikes here in Michigan.
I was going to say, my buddy sent me a video. He lives in Michigan of him skiing on a sand dune.
Oh yeah, yeah. We have the dunes out on the west side of the state, Sleeping Bear Dunes. You
have everything there.
Huge, man, and that's what's so cool about Michigan as far as the filming state. But that's all a different thing. But anyway,
so you connected with Bobby King.
Connected with Bobby King, and he was able. He got me hired, and I came in for the first day, and turns out me and Ryan got along really well, and just went from there. I was able to do that first couple gigs with them, and then I kept me on for the season, and then I kept on for season 2 as well. Did all of his stunts for both seasons of that show. So,
that's pretty awesome.
It was a lot of fun. Yeah, it helped me out a lot because working with different coordinators, this show brought in a lot of different people. So I got to work with people I've never met before and things like that, especially on season 2 when Danny Boyer took over. We had a big, huge scene on the first episode of season 2, and he got to bring in people like Chris O'Hara and Jen Badger and Buddy Love and all these guys. And I got to work, have a shot in Dean Grimes and Rob Mars. I got to work with all these guys that have been in the business forever, and got to get a lot of experience through that as well, which was, helped me out in my career huge.
Chris O'Hara, stunt coordinator of this little movie. I don't know if you heard about, Paul, called The Fall Guy. The Fall Guy.
It's called the what?
The Fall Guy.
The what?
Yeah, that guy.
Oh, it's an indie film, right?
Yeah, low budget, ultra.
Yeah,
ultra
I
low.
saw that. Yeah,
you
will be.
Nobody's in it. Yeah, no promotion.
Nobody.
No one will ever have heard about this.
No, I don't know. They're not going to do good at the box office, I think.
Honestly, like you just said that, and in my mind, I'm like, I kind of can't wait to go fucking see it though.
No, I want to see it too. I was like, wait. I'm so pissed that I'm busy that I was
my wife is just like, oh my god, she's like, oh my god, I want to see it, and I always get excited whenever she wants to go see a stunt.
Yeah, there's not too many movies that'll make me want to go see it in the theater, but this is one of them that I'll definitely go see. Yeah.
Yep.
Tell me, what did you learn from that season, those 2 seasons on the show?
Ooh, actually, I'm going to throw in a beforehand question.
Shoot.
Okay.
So before that, this kind of goes into it. When you went to wrestling and then when you went into acting and film, what was the hardest transition for you to make? Like, what was the one, like, there's always someone that like for me and Steve, we came from martial arts and we went into stunts. You're coming from wrestling. What was the hardest thing for you to wash that you had to, when you had to make that transition over?
Well, as far as physically, one of the things is wrestling. We're taking, everything we do, we're taking flatbacks. We're bumping. We're taking flatbacks for everything. Learning stunts, not everything is a flatback. You can roll sometimes. You can protect your body a whole lot more. So that was one of the things I was so used to, always just going all out and giving everything out. That takes a toll on your body. And older guys are like, hey, more respect, but you're shortening your career with every one of those that you do. If you don't have to do that, you can still make it look good by doing it this way. And that helped out a lot, and it really helps to protect the body more. As far as like mentally, it was kind of I was very immature when I got into the film stunt industry. With wrestling, I wasn't a huge deal, but in Michigan, I was I was at a certain level, I was at a lot of respect, and I was at a certain level. Going into stunts, you're starting from scratch, and it was hard for me to swallow that pill. And I know that starting out early, I know I said some wrong things. I pissed off on people. I feel horrible for doing that, because as I've grown and I kind of have learned, you see how you acted, and you're like, man, what an idiot you were. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's not something that you mean to do. It's just something that you're at trying to transition into something else, and starting over from scratch is a very difficult thing to do. Once you finally get over yourself and you get over your ego and you can finally do that, that's when you can finally start becoming successful and becoming, something that the person that you want to be. So I readily admit that I was probably a horrible dickhead when I first started out.
But I mean, dickhead or not, but we all have egos, and like it or not, we all have egos, and a lot of us that come from a place, like I had to learn similar lessons, like coming from a certain status here to a nobody here, and then there's every part of your being that wants to feel like that translates.
Yeah,
but it does, and aspects of it do translate, but you need to give it time to figure out how, and just to own that you're a nobody.
Yep.
And it's things that we both probably in the martial arts industry as well as with the wrestling. When you first start out of that, you learn, you have to pay your dues. You're starting from scratch, you're paying your dues. The problem is when you go into somewhere else, onto something else, you're like, man, I already paid my dues, but it was, something. It doesn't. Those dues don't transition. You still have other dues that you have to pay, and that's the thing that is hard to learn. And if you don't have somebody that actually helps you, to get you right, be like, hey, and I had that. I had Dean Grimes. I love the guy to death. Him and Rob Mars. They worked with me on season 2 of Outsiders, and they would help me. They're like, hey, stop being stupid. Like chill out. I'm like, you're right. And they helped me out a lot, and I credit those guys for helping. But that's kind of what you need, because if you don't get that, you don't find out what you're doing wrong. You just stay a dickhead.
I've had 2 bits of advice. I had one time where I was told to place somebody else, and then another time they were like, dude, just be yourself, man. Just be a knucklehead. And both time the advice works.
Yeah.
But
it's
like
this thing.
And I think you just have, and it's sort of the weeding out process, right? Like, because you'll offer this advice to, I'm sure you get it all the time, like people that are like, hey, I want to get into the stunt business or this or that, and you give them some honest advice, and it's like in one ear out the other, like, I just gave you some real valuable advice, but you know what, the thing is that I was given that advice and I didn't listen to. And it's like part of,
right?
You know what I mean? So it's like I have to understand, like, you're not gonna, but some people get it eventually, and some people don't. And the people that do get it are the ones who end up making it.
Well, and I think the people that do get it are the people that they're not doing it because they have bad intentions or anything like that. Personal experience. I just wanted to be. I just wanted so bad to be respected and to be one of the boys. That's all. When I was in wrestling, anything that all I care about, I don't care how my career goes, as long as the boys respect me and they think I'm a good guy, that's what I want. And it's the same thing too. It's like you're trying to be one of the boys and you're trying to get in there and you're trying to be, but it takes time. You have to pay your dues. You can't just jump in there because you haven't been in the trenches that they have yet. Until you are to those trenches with them, you don't understand. So And it's hard to transition, but and like you said, the ones that do make it are the ones that can get past that, can get past their own egos and can pass themselves.
I mean, it's a hard enough business to make it in, period. Without all that stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
Dude, put it, it's not even that. And you mentioned ego, and I'll tell you, like, most of the people in this business who are just starting out that don't have an ego have other jobs that they use to pay their bills and make a living. I just, I feel like a lot of people are like stunts and only stunts. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like, put your ego aside and do what you need to do to make your money, and you can still work stunts and you can still be just as dedicated and be just as committed as everybody else. You know?
You can, definitely. I mean, it's just like a lot of professions, right? There's the small percentage of people who make a living at it, and then everybody else. It's tough.
Good metaphor for our union. We have a ton of union members, but there's a certain amount that actually make a living, and then
that's the dues you were talking about, right?
Exactly.
The SAG-AFTRA dues they have to pay.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And and it's like no one has any problem. Like, I'm not making money doing full-time stunts, but then when it's like when someone snickers at you because you do something else to make money, I watch people who are like, yeah, well, I stopped working because someone told me that they frown upon that when you do that. And I'm like, well, how do you pay your bills? They're like, well, and I'm like, that's the most ridiculous decision I think you've ever made. I was like, go back to work.
Until somebody pays your bills for you, they have no right to tell you how to live your life.
If they didn't hire you, if they're not hiring you and they're not giving you work, they need to shut the fuck up.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there is that old school mentality is that you're all in. You're a stunt person. You're not, even the division between stunt performer and actor, like the old school, And
if by all in you mean when you call me for work, I'll go to my boss, and when he says you can't day off, I'll tell him to go fuck himself and work anyway. I'm all in.
Yeah, the problem is too, but the problem is too that times have changed so much too. It's not for any of us. You go a couple months between jobs. That's not easy to do anymore with how expensive things are. We all have bills to do. So I know, and I know that firsthand. So I don't ever I don't look bad about anybody for doing, for doing something else as well. Like you said, because I work for myself. I have my own business. I work when I'm not doing film stuff, but as soon as the film stuff comes along, I drop it and I go do that. That's what I do. But so I never look down on somebody else. Nobody knows somebody else's situation too, man. Everybody's situation is different. Some people work a lot more than some people too. So they have the luxury of being able to have more time in between jobs off, So,
and if you have a full-time job and you work stunts, respect. That is some crazy scheduling. And if you work at a place that lets you do that, then keep that job.
Yeah, right.
For sure. Hey Jay, what does the R stand for? My middle initial is R also. What's your R?
It's just my it's my middle name. My dad's name, Ronald.
I'm a
Robert. I had to take on the R when I joined the union.
I'm a Paul.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I had
Matthew.
There was already, so back in the 70s, there was the famous skateboarder Jay Adams. He was part of the V-Town, the V-Boys. So that was already, Jay Adams was already taken in the union, so I had to put in my initial or change my name.
Did he start Zephyr? I don't want to change my name. Zephyr, right? He started? Was that Jay
Adams? Dogtown Z-Boys with Stacy Peralta and Tony Alba and all those guys. Yeah, he's kind of known for revolutionizing the skateboard business. And he was the bad boy of the group. He was the guy the kid that would tattoo his lip, and he had. Unfortunately, the guy had a lot of drug problems as through his life, and he's passed away now. But he's known for revolutionizing the skateboard. Yeah, that's for sure.
That's one of the great things about this business is you meet people from all these such diverse, especially in stunts, like whatever skill got them in the door. Right. When I was working on devs, one of the riggers is Eddie Fiola. I don't know if you ever met him, but he's massive in the He's like the creator of freestyle BMX.
Yeah,
he got into the business on that movie Rad, right? Like so.
That movie way back in the day. I love that.
Yeah,
the backflip out of the bathtub.
Oh man!
And now he's
that and thrashing.
Yeah, now he's all in on the business. He's rigging. Like all of it. He had like anybody who gets in this business, you get in for X, but then you have to learn Y, Z, and ABC. You have to learn all the other stuff. So, but that brings us back to the other question. So, what'd you come out of Outsiders with? How did it change your game? Like, what'd you learn?
More as far as I was doing a lot more. So I was doing more stuff with ATVs, a lot more fight scenes. So just working with different stunt guys alone, just putting together different fights. I got to work with guys like Don Lee, who's a great fight coordinator, Rob Mars, and got to work with him almost a whole 2 seasons, a season and a half, where he was doubling the dad of the character that I was doubling. So me and there was a lot of strife there. So me and him had a lot of good back and forth. And so just being able to be under these guys and learn different techniques and things like that are going to help me along the way. But like I said, not even just the physical things, but just how to traverse being in the business, how to conduct yourself, how to get more bookings, how to, things like that are helpful to somebody when you go in cold and, you're kind of guessing, kind of going about what you find online and how to do things,
When I worked with Don, he was really great on giving me that advice.
Yeah, Don was great to work with too. We had some
really
great fight scenes that we worked with, and I love him because he's so into the whole creative process too. I mean, he's great as far as his enthusiasm and everything. We do a rehearsal, and he's like, "Oh God," he's like, "Yeah," and I'm not even fighting. He's off to the side, and he's like, "Oh, I love it, yeah, right there," just giving you encouragement and helping you through the whole process. It just, that kind of stuff is so valuable to you. It's invaluable. You can't put a price on that stuff.
What do you got coming up down the pipeline, man?
Oh,
besides a trip to New York to hang out with us. But,
I'd love to. I've been talking about that. I've been trying to get booked in New York just so I can come and hang out with you guys. But I've got a couple of things in the can. The Sinking Spring show on Apple TV should come out hopefully in the fall. I was lucky enough, Beverly Hills Cop did a week here in Detroit. We did a fun chase scene throughout the downtown area, which I got to be involved with. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I've got filming some industrials coming up, and I got a couple of things going. I got a regional cartoon commercial that's running and stuff like that. So I'm lucky. Things have been going good the past couple months. So just hoping to continue to ride that along. You know how it goes.
So where can people follow you and you keep tabs on what you're doing and all that kind of stuff? Where can they find out what's going on?
I'm on social media everywhere as at J Adams Stunts, or I also have my website jadamstunts.com, where I try to keep it up as I'm doing myself, so it's kind of hard to keep up with, but I try to keep it updated as much as possible. But the social media the most is through at J Adams Stunts.
Cool. And if people do go to jadamstunts.com, they will see the link to the Michigan UCP donation page. So
yes, it should. Yeah, it's right there on the top. Yep.
Yeah, just go there and make a donation. But it'll be in our show notes. All this stuff will be on our show notes. Cool, man. Yo, dude, this was awesome.
Cheers, my friends.
Yes, cheers. Bam. Oh wait, no. Today, here, take this. This is how we cheers today.
You should have given me a heads up. Mine's in the office somewhere. I would have done that as well.
Woo, cheers. Go get it, man. Oh, nice. There he is.
Red Wing Grogu says,
nice.
says cheers to you guys.
All right.
I love it.
Yo, have a great day, dude. Thank you for taking the time to hang out with us.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's always good talking with you guys, man. I miss you. I want to come see you guys in person real soon.
For sure, bro. It was awesome. Thanks so much, man.
Be good, brother.
Cheers.
Cheers.
See you soon.
Fights with Friends is brought to you by Breakfall Studios and Press Record Studios. Executive producers Stephen Koepfer, Paul Varacchi, and Thiago Benedetti. Produced by Matthew Kaplowitz. Associate producers Becca GT and Jared DiCroce. Our video editor is Matthew Kaplowitz. Original music by Aru Luster.